This is Joel Gibbard. He is the CEO of Open Bionics, a UK-based company that develops low-cost, 3D printed bionic arms for amputees with below-elbow amputations. And that's the Ada hand. And this is my print of the Ada hand. Alright, now that we're all introduced, let's get right into it. So this Ada hand is available for anyone to print, along with a few other designs by Open Bionics. Now when I saw this, I thought two things. One, I need to print one right now. And two, why would a company do this? Even more so a startup. Now that first part I took care of really rapidly. As for the second part, luckily I'm not the only one wondering.
Can anyone just 3D print their hand? How does it work?
So the designs are open source, so that means that people can download them and print their own hands if they want to. We're also operating as a business, so we're not expecting amputees to print their own hands and make them. We're expecting and would prefer them to come to us and have something that's created by us and quality assured and so on.
Since the company's early days, it has grown tremendously, and their open source access has been far from a limiting factor. The most well-known commercialized prosthetic sold by Open Bionics is the Hero Arm, for which its most recent version was launched in October 2020.
The Hero Arm is the sort of name for this type of product is a myoelectric bionic arm. Every time you flex a muscle anywhere in your body, it generates like a small electric signal. And so you can use sensors to pick up on those signals. And so basically, if you're missing a hand, you still have the muscles that would flex the muscles in your hand and that would open and close your hand. Those muscles still exist in your forearm. When you sort of flex those muscles, it picks up those very, very small electrical signals.
The process to get your own Hero Arm usually goes just about like this.
Yeah, so the hand, everything from the wrist down, obviously, this is one of 3 sizes. We measure your hand and pick the one that's the most appropriate size to match your other hand, essentially. Everything from here down, all of this arm part, this is all completely custom. So it all starts and they go to either our own clinic or we have like sort of network of partner clinics that we work with. There's a bit of a knack to getting a good scan, I guess. There's just a lot of potential issues of like getting the customer to do it themselves. There's also another aspect though, which is because this is a medical product, there are actually sort of like regulations around, really they have to be seen, like have a clinical assessment by a qualified prosthetist is the name of the role, like someone who's like a specialist in prosthetics.
The company has therefore developed a product for which clientele is still quite dependent of them for, all while welcoming amateur input to continue to improve designs. As Joel says it best,
what we did was we used the very latest technologies, 3D scanning, 3D design, and 3D printing. Not only have we developed a bionic arm, we've developed a process that can be applied to make custom prosthetic limbs at scale.
I think it's actually pretty cool to see more what are the real life applications, not just of 3D, but also of Blender, because Blender still has that reputation of being like a hobbyist software, but not like a professional software.
I wanted to reach out to Marco Bonizato, an associate professor in electrical engineering at Polytechnique Montréal and of the Sci Neurotech Lab, to see if the open source hardware model was something we could anticipate seeing more of in the future of biotech companies.
Yes, I mean, you could try and you could plant a seed in people that they could build their own substitute, but I think it's rare cases, and when someone goes down that line, I mean, they're taking their own risk. So then it doesn't put the company really necessarily at risk. Even if it's a FreeBSD or MIT license, like completely open, it says that they're not responsible for whatever you do with this. So for the company, it's not really a problem. No company could ever think, oh, we're going to print this and then we're going to sell it, because it's not going to be a medical product. A medical product comes with all the pipeline. So like they're actually validating what they do in-house, like what machines they're using, what the protocol is. You could save some time if you know that you have machines to build that, then you could like save some time, but it's a big investment and there is someone else already in the market. So you're trying to compete with someone already established, so you don't have an advantage. I can see that the position is defensible.
And yet, the student, amateur, and clientele community alike have all chimed in to continue to refine and develop the company's designs into what they are today.
For the kind of maker community, it's a really cool way to try and advance the technology, because those are the people that really want to print stuff and make stuff themselves, and the kind of people that are going to come up with new ideas and take it in new directions that we might not have thought of.
You could imagine that open source could be useful for university professionals and like research teams that work on proving concepts, and then big companies, then they see what works and then they monetize that. That could be a model.
Examples of this phenomenon are increasingly common. The Yale Open Hand project was created to encourage more variation and innovation in mechanical hardware. This goal has led to the development of 4 open source designs for artificial hands, as well as the means to attach them to human wrists or arms. Enable, which was once no more than a Google group, has grown to an open source site with 50,000 contributors and chapters worldwide. It is now a repository for designs, schematics, case studies, forums, and grant applications. It is frequented by end users and contributors of all expertise levels. Which begs the question, where's the line drawn for types of medical devices that can develop under this model?
It is a real thing that you think, like, can I really have an impact by changing, like, I knowing that there is way too much margin there, the device is stupid simple, you could just do it better. Now the problem is, if you want to do that device and sell it, the manufacturer is a big bottleneck, and you end up fighting against giants like Medtronic, like this.
Marco also made a point that invasive medical devices hold an added level of complexity in production that may be hard to apply in open source concepts.
Very difficult to make a device that goes inside the body. So even just the battery is like carved in titanium shell, buy a whole block, and this costs a lot. And then you actually have to carve it manually. So you put a very experienced technician to do that manually, and not something that really that easy to say, oh, look at that. I could just do a generic for this and we can sell it. That's how it's very hard to get inside the system in that way for medical devices that are invasive. And I think non-invasive, there is some space there. Our hospitals, like our rehabilitation centers, they buy $40,000 devices that cost $1,000 to build their space.
The University of Barcelona demonstrates this with a website of student open source designs of many different non-invasive medical devices, such as ventilators, infant incubators, and pneumotachographs. OpenBCI offers wearable brain-computer interfaces for hobbyists and researchers, and is actively selling multiple products. Tympan is an open-source hearing aid software and hardware for researchers and developers. The Open Nerve project develops implantable modular systems for autonomic nerve neuromodulation. The GLIA project develops low-cost and locally manufacturable versions of common medical products, and RespiraWorks developed respirators and ventilators for COVID treatment. Since the Open Bionics launch in 2016, open-source medical hardware has evidently become an increasingly explored format. What was once limited to companies and institutions is increasingly shaped by a broader, global community. As this approach continues to evolve, its impact will depend on how widely it is adopted and who it ultimately reaches.